Hi traders, I want to show you an example of a bullish butterfly pattern now. So once again, the first thing you want to do is identify your key level of higher time frame support resistance. This is a daily chart that we're currently looking at. So I want to take my Fibonacci tool and draw it from the very low up to the very high. Okay, and then we want to look for that confluence. So if we take our horizontal line and we just move it down, you can see price has already moved to the 38 level. The 50 area, have a look at this area right here. Okay, very nice clear area of resistance, support. Look at the big spike down. Okay, but price comes back and closes above the level. Now we've come back down and spiked the level again. In terms of the overall market, okay, you can see we're in a range. So if we now have a look at the smaller time frames and this pattern set up on a 15-minute chart, just remember that we identify these levels beforehand. Okay, we're not looking for the pattern first, we're looking for our key higher time frame levels beforehand. You can mark them off like this. You put your alarms into your platform or send a SMS to your cell phone to alert you that price is in the vicinity of that area. Okay, so if we now move to the 15-minute chart, I'm going to get rid of this eclipse. So price has rallied off that area, and if we just step this forward a little bit, okay, you can see this swing up. If we draw our Fibonacci tool on this low up to the high, see price has dropped, okay, quite aggressively here. Just follow it along. See how price comes down and spikes at 79. So remember, in terms of patterns, using the Fibonacci retracement levels, we can look for possible patterns depending on where price stalls. Okay, once we start getting a reaction like this off a 79 level, you want to start thinking about the possibility of a butterfly pattern. So what you would want to do is draw your Fibonacci tool from the high down to that 79 level. Remember when we discussed the actual butterfly pattern, the closer price comes to the 79 level, the tighter your confluence is going to be. So if we just move the chart down, the confluence or the completion of the pattern is right here at the 127 and the 1618 extension. Okay, so we just mark this area off here. This is the level right here where you want to be looking to place your trade. Okay, and remember, we're dealing with zones around here, so as long as you're finding a pattern in and around, I'm just going to go to the hourly chart, as long as you're finding a pattern in and around this higher time frame level from that daily chart, a bullish pattern, we can look for a possible trade opportunity. Okay, just remember, daily chart, there's your key level right there. Okay, so we can expect price to come down to the level and react. Now remember, for day trading purposes, we want to reduce our risk, so we're not just going to click buy when price hits the level. We want to see if we can find a pattern on a smaller time frame where we can reduce the risk. Just compress this. So price has rallied, it's retraced all the way down to the 79 level, and now it's started to rally. Okay, so once it actually retraces to a minimum of a 38% retracement, you can see, we just zoom this up, once it gets to a minimum of a 38% retracement, you can start looking to place an order to buy at that 127 area. Okay, so if we just take a horizontal tool, you can see the difference between the 1618 and the 127. It's only 3 pips, okay, in terms of confluence that forms the pattern. So we can look to place an order, and in terms of the actual stop loss, remember, stop loss we want just below that 1618 extension of this swing here. In terms of targets, now everyone's going to do this a little bit differently, but remember, in terms of a smaller time frame pattern like this, the location of the pattern is found on the daily chart. So you can always look for larger targets. You don't have to necessarily play for the smaller the smaller levels, okay, or smaller patterns, you can look further up. So this is an hourly chart, and as I said, everyone's going to do it a little bit differently. See, we've got this area. If we look at horizontal support resistance in here, we have support in here, a little bit of resistance, then comes back through resistance, resistance, resistance. Next level up from there, we've got this area in here. See how we have support in here, breaks through, comes back, rejects. Look at this area. This is quite interesting in terms of, remember when we fine-tune levels, you see how this last white candle right here before price breaks to the downside, remember we spoke about aggressive moves out of a level, got a consolidation. That area, that 3106 area close to the figure, is a nice area to look for possible profits. If we just move back to the 15-minute chart here, and we just move this down. Okay, so let's just go to our platform. New pending order. We want to put a buy limit in. So we're looking at 1.30. Okay, we got to remember we want to add the spread. We've got a one pip spread on this particular platform for this pair. So we want to add the spread plus a couple pips. So let's go in around 14, 15, so 16. Okay, so pip for the spread plus 2. So we went 16, and a stop loss around the 29.90 mark. Okay. So we're looking around 26 pips of risk. I'll place that in there. In terms of the take profit now, you can see I've left the take profit open for now. And everyone's going to do it a little bit differently. I like to see what happens once price actually hits the level. So you can see we've had this breakdown now. So we've rallied. We've retraced to the 79. We've rallied up to the 50. Here again, you see that little white candle there. It's holding at resistance. Breaks down again. Okay, so we've taken out some orders here. So we're moving a bit deeper. See, back up to this little white candle here, referencing it again. Okay, so we're spiking lower here. We've just had a run at the lows. In terms of wicks, just have a look at this. This is quite interesting here. On a side note, wicks spiking like they're showing signs of rejection. Okay, it's eating up some orders here. Remember, you got orders stacked at different levels, as we explained. You see that sort of 3 drives down. Okay, accumulation of orders. So you can see price starting to stall out. We've just been filled. We're about 5 pips up. Now, as I said, everyone's going to do this a little bit differently when it comes to take profit. So first sort of major area with this pattern is this point X. So let's remember, it's X, A, B, C, D is the completion point. Okay, if I add a little pop out of this area. Now remember, this is a higher time frame trade, okay, or high time frame level. So I'm not too aggressive personally when it comes to reducing risk on these things. You can look to micromanage the trade, okay, but as I said, you know, give these things a bit of breathing space when you're around these big levels, okay, because you can normally get some runners in terms of pip size versus, so you know, good risk reward. Okay, remember, we only got 26 pips of risk on this thing, and you've got some decent targets to possibly look at. You know, up here at the figure area, maybe you see this area on the left hand side. If we just compress this, so there's that base. Okay, very aggressive move out of that area. So also a possible level to look at taking profit around that figure. Okay, big figure 3100, so you'll be looking around 84, 85 pips, somewhere around there, for a risk of like 26 pips. Okay, so you know, as I said, give it a little bit of space. If you want to micromanage, that's fine. Remember, you've had a little bounce up here, like 20 pips. Okay, so you can look at 1-to-1 as well, kind of thing on these things. It really depends on each trade. Okay, so see how price is just finding bit of resistance here, last white candle. So here again, you see also in terms of time of day, okay, getting into that Asian session now, a bit quieter. So just step this forward a little bit. And here again, I like to also flip between the different time frames, and not that clear in terms of the candles, just because of the actual fibs on here. You can see we spike lower here, okay, running the lows, picking up some liquidity. And this is where the institutional order flow comes in, spiking up. You see on that level here, support, resistance. Haven't really had much of a commitment above that area just yet. Looking for a bit of a close. Okay, so you see we're closing above that area. Comes right back down. You see how it references this little white candle here, or that bearish candle. Okay. Alright, so now we've had a little release to the upside here. Let's just have a look at that 15-minute chart. Okay, comes right back. Retest the area here. Okay, looks like a little head and shoulders pattern. And now we've started to release here, breaks this range here. Okay, so in terms of take profits, okay, once you've started getting this base built and we start committing above, like this on the hourly chart, you see this range. We have support in here, resistance, resistance. This is the first real commitment above this level. Okay, so what we can do now is we can look to, if you're very aggressive, you can look to move your stop to break even here. You can also look at taking some profits off the table if you want. I like to sort of target these areas up here. You see this level up here? Okay. You can also pay attention to short-term trend lines. You see this level holding as resistance here in terms of trade management. Okay, so it closes back above. See how this area holds now. If price starts to release to the upside again, I will start reducing some risk on the trade. So now that we've come back, I'm going to move my stop to break even on this trade. So I really want to give it some space to breathe, okay? I don't want to go and be very aggressive on this. In terms of take profits now, as I said, everyone's going to do this a little bit differently. You can see holding here, close back above. Still building, you see how build another base here. Look at prices testing the back end of that trend line there. In terms of take profits, again, that 80 area is pretty good, otherwise the figure. So I'm going to just watch price and see what happens. We had a nice little pop up there, okay, out of the range. Just have a look at the 15-minute chart again. Currently 50 pips up. And moving up to this area of resistance. I'm going to go down to a 5-minute chart and I want to just see what's going on there. Okay, so you see this range eventually releases out of the range. See this level here, you want to see this area hold. Okay, so we spike up, see the rejection around that 30-80 area. Good place to take some profits there. What I'm going to do is I'm going to reduce or move the stop up. I want to see it just below this base now that we've taken out these highs. So that's around 30, let's make it 30.55 area. Let's follow price along here. Okay, so you see how it spikes up to that 3100 area, right into this base. You see this little white candle here. Okay, pay close attention to that. Okay, that's sort of the target area that I'm looking for. And now you've got an option here. You can either be very aggressive in terms of micromanagement, or you can take your profits off the table. Okay, this is an area here that I'm watching pretty closely. See how it starts to stall out a little bit. Okay, so once it hits your target, you want to be a little more cautious. So when this happens, when it hits your target, you've got a choice. You either take your profits off the table, or you can bring your stop right up. Okay, so you really right up in that area there. Just have a look at the hourly chart. Okay, you spike into this area. This area here is a very key level. Okay, I'm going to move the stop up on this just below these candle lows here. Okay, it's around the figure area. So our price is starting to come off this area now a little bit. Alright, so we've just been taken out on that trade. I'm just going to step this forward and show you what price does around these areas. Okay, very important to pay close attention to this. See our price spikes up into that range, referencing that last bullish candle before price release like this. Okay, you can see our price starts to come back on us here. And I'm just going to show you the trade history. You can see we made 83 pips there. Okay, so nice little trade, and we risked an issue 26 pips.